Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's live reading from Ramayana, the story of Lord Ram. We are covering Uttara at the moment. And let's begin. Yamraj, however, wished to kill Ravan himself as a last resort, took up his rod of death. As soon as they saw this terrible weapon, all the Rakshasas except Ravan turned and ran away. Lord Brahma then hastily appeared before Yamraj, and while remaining unseen by others, he said, O Lord of Death, please do not nullify the benediction I have awarded Ravan. If you release this rod of death, it will not only destroy your enemy, but will kill all the created beings too. Therefore, please give up your intention. Yamraj yielded to the authority of Lord Brahma and then made himself invisible, since there was no point in continuing to fight. Ravan departed, thinking himself victorious. Thereafter, he entered the ocean and descended to the lower planetary systems. Ravan then conquered Bhogavati, the capital of the Nagas, ruled over by Vasuki. After this, he went to attack Manimai, a city made from gems, where the Nivat Kavachas resided. These Danavs had also received benedictions from Lord Brahma, and when Ravan challenged them to fight, they were happy to oblige him. The Danavs and the Rakshasas fought for 1 full year, but neither could gain the upper hand. Finally, Lord Brahma came there to stop the fighting, advising the two parties to establish an alliance of friendship. Thus Ravan spent the next years as Danav's guests, and during that time he learned 100 conjuring tricks from them. So Ravan learned further tricks from the Danavs. From Manimai, Ravan went to Rasatal, searching for Varun's abode. When in the course of his wanderings he came to the city called Ashammanagra, Ravan defeated the Kalakeyas residing there, and during the battle accidentally cut to pieces his brother-in-law, Vidyujihva. So in these days we would say that Ravan was a handful, wasn't he? All he knew was to destroy, annihilate, and that was his favorite pastime in his life. After some time, Ravan finally sighted the abode of Varun, and there he came upon the Surabhi cow, whose milk created the great ocean of milk. After circumambulating Surabhi, Ravan entered Varun's city. So you will see, he was a very violent man by nature, but he knew who to revere and who to get the blessings from as well. Then after announcing his challenge to the voters, he killed all the warriors that came to oppose him. Incited with rage, Varun's sons and grandsons came out with a large army, but they were soon routed by Ravan's ministers. Having retreated, Varun's sons again came out to fight, this time rising into the air on their chariots and showering Ravan with their arrows, forcing Ravan to turn his face away from the battle. Mahodar then killed all the horses of Varun's sons, making their chariots fall to the ground. Still the sons of Varun remained airborne by dint of their mystic power, and continued to fight with Ravan, seated upon the Pushpak chariot. After driving off Mahodar, the sons of Varun surrounded Ravan and again assaulted him with torrents of arrows. Ravan suddenly flared up with the rage. He pierced Varun's sons with his weapons, and they fell to the ground wounded. As Varun's sons were being carried away from the battlefield by their own men, Ravan ordered one of Varun's ministers, Go convey my challenge to your master. Now that his sons are vanquished, let the Lord of the Waters himself come out to fight. The ministers informed Ravan, Varun has gone to Brahmalok to attend a concert given by the Gandharvas. Therefore, O king of the Rakshasas, be satisfied that you have defeated Varun's sons. Ravan soon returned to Lanka. Along the way, he kidnapped the virgin daughters of many kings, rishis, demigods, and demons. If Ravan saw any girl that he found attractive, he would first kill all of her relatives and then forcibly take her on his chariot. In this way, Ravan's chariot became filled with hundreds of girls, all crying out pitifully from their fear and grief. The bereaved girls considered their plight and cursed Ravan, saying, "May the destruction of this wicked Rakshas come about because of a woman." As soon as the girls uttered these words, flowers fell down from the heavens and the celestial drums resounded in the sky. Thus cursed by the virtuous women, Ravan's bodily luster immediately began to fade. Shortly after Ravan's return to Lanka, Shurpanakha came and fell down at her brother's feet with tears in her eyes and wailed, "Oh, how cruel you are to your sister! By killing my husband, you have made me a widow." To pacify Shurpanakha, Ravan replied, "My dear sister, please do not give way to grief. I promise to gratify all your desires. Please forgive me, for in the heat of battle I could not distinguish between friend or enemy. Thus I accidentally killed Vidyu Jihva." Ravan sent Shurpanakha to live under the protection of a cousin Khar. He also dispatched an army of 14,000 Rakshasas so that his brother could firmly establish its supremacy in the Dandakaranya forest. Ravan then went to his sacrificial arena at the Nikumbila grove. There he saw his son Meghnad wearing a deer skin. With surprise, Ravan inquired, "My dear boy, what are you doing?" Meghnad was engaged in performing a sacrifice. Thus, to ensure that his vow of silence was not broken, Ushna, the family priest, replied on his behalf, "In your absence, Meghnad has already performed 7 great sacrifices for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. Thus he has received a celestial chariot and various weapons from Lord Shiva. He has also gained the power to become invisible and to create darkness within the enemy ranks." Ravan was not very pleased to hear of his son's activities, for he had worshipped one of his enemies, Lord Vishnu. When Vibhishan learned that Ravan had kidnapped so many girls, he approached his brother and said, "This act of yours is very sinful and is unfit for a member of our good family. Already as a reaction to your wickedness, your mother's cousin Kumbhinasi has been kidnapped by Rakshas Madhu." Kumbhinasi was the unmarried daughter of Malyavan, the uncle of Ravan's mother. Kaikasi, who was residing in Ravan's palace in his absence, Kaikasi was Ravan's mother, remember? When Ravan heard about Kumbhinasi's abduction, he fled with rage and prepared to kill the offender at once. Calling together all his Rakshas chiefs, Ravan left Lanka with 4,000 Akshahinis, for he intended to attack the demigods after dealing with Madhu. With Meghnad at the front and Kumbhakaran at the rear, Ravan entered Madhu's city. His mother's cousin quickly came out to meet him and fell at Ravan's feet. He thus assured her, "I shall do whatever you request of me. Please get up, for there is nothing to fear." Kumbhinasi then begged Ravan to spare her husband. The Rakshas king replied, "Yes, it shall be so. Now let Madhu come forward, for I want him to accompany me in my conquest for the demigods." Kumbhinasi awakened her husband and informed him that Ravan had come to solicit his help in conquering the demigods. Madhu immediately came and paid his respects to Ravan, and the next morning the Rakshas army departed. Ravan reached Kailash just as the sun was setting and had his army make camp there. While sitting at leisure on the top of the hill, Ravan surveyed the beautiful forests and lakes that served as the demigods' sporting grounds. Indeed, he could hear the singing of Apsaras coming from Kuber's palace. The entire atmosphere was extremely pleasing and enhanced by the fragrant breezes. At that time, the Apsara Rambha chanced to pass by. When Ravan saw Rambha's beautiful bodily features enhanced by her attractive dress and tinkling ornaments, he became so lusty that he immediately jumped from his seat and grabbed her by the hand. Pierced by the Cupid's arrows, Ravan said, "O exquisitely beautiful one, your sweet smiling face, your full rounded body, and your shapely thighs have combined together to steal away my mind. Now that I have seen you, I cannot bear to let you go. Who is there superior to me that you are now on your way to meet?" accept me as your husband and remain with me, it would surely be a waste of your incomparable beauty to have it enjoyed by someone else. Ramba, however, angrily replied, "You should not speak to me like this, for you are just like my father, and I your daughter-in-law." Ravan then argued, "Only the wife of one's son can be considered to be daughter-in-law." At this, Rambha countered, "Yes, what you say is correct. Still, you should know that I am the lawful wife of your brother's son, Nalkuver, and I am on my way to meet him now. Therefore, O king of the Rakshas, please follow the path of righteousness and let me go at once." Not interested in good advice, Ravan replied, "Your reasoning only applies to women who have one husband. However, since Apsaras have no actual husbands, just as the demigods are not committed to a single wife, I do not have to consider you in the light of such morality." Saying this, Ravan forcibly pulled Rambha down onto a flat rock and I don't want to say the words. When she was finally released, her hair and dress disheveled, Rambha ran to her husband Nalkuver and told him everything that happened. Upon hearing of Ravan's misconduct, Nalkuver became outraged. Then, to verify Rambha's story, he entered a trance of meditation. Thereafter, having ascertained the truth of the matter, Nalkuver touched water and pronounced the following curse: "The head of Ravan will split into 7 pieces if he ever tries again to enjoy a woman against her will." The demigods were overjoyed to hear this declaration and showered flowers upon Kuber's son. So we can see that Ravan, despite being so powerful, despite having been blessed with so many things in his life due to his lineage or other factors, other aspects, he didn't lose any chance of getting curses one after other upon himself. So the demigods were overjoyed to hear the declaration and they showered the flowers upon Kuber's son. Similarly, the women at Lanka kidnapped by Ravan heard of Nal Kuber's oath too, experienced great happiness. And when Ravan heard of the curse, he gave up all inclination to have sexual relations with women who were not inclined toward him. The next morning, Ravan mobilized his army and approached the abode of Indra, the king of heaven. Being afraid of Ravan, became dejected upon seeing the army of Rakshasas approaching. Indra quickly sent out all the demigods to fight and then approached Lord Vishnu. After offering his obeisances to the Lord, Indra explained, "Because of Lord Brahma's benedictions, I feel helpless in battling Ravan. My dear Lord, I request that you either empower me with sufficient energy to kill the Rakshas king, or else take up the matter yourself." Lord Vishnu reassured Indra, "There is no need for you to be afraid. Go and fight with Ravan. Even though it is not possible for you to conquer him, I do not wish to kill him just now. However, please know that when the time is right, I shall slay not only the wicked Rakshas king, but all his relatives too." Thereafter, a fierce battle ensued between the demigods and the Rakshasas, supported by their allies, the Danavs. Ravan's maternal grandfather Sumali led the Rakshas army, soon routed the demigod soldiers. Then Savitra, the 8th Vasu, suddenly entered the battlefield, striking fear into the hearts of the Rakshasas. After destroying Sumali's chariot, Savitra picked up Rakshasa's mace and smashed it over his head, striking him down dead. Being leaderless, the Rakshas soldiers began to flee. Meghnad then came forward. The powerful son of Ravan began to scatter the demigods. Indra, however, admonished the fleeing warriors and sent forth his own son Jayant to fight. An equally matched duel was then started between the two princes. However, when Meghnad resorted to creating darkness on the battlefield through his mystic potency, Jayant became ill at ease. In the darkness, the fighting became gruesome and confused. Puloma, ruler of the Daityas and father of Sachi, the wife of King Indra, came and forcibly grabbed his grandson by the hair, dragging him away from the battlefield for his protection. Puloma dove deep into the sea with Jayant. Seeing that Jayant was gone, the demigods panicked and ran away. Indra then immediately called for his chariot. As Indra went out to join the battle, surrounded by other Adityas, a fierce wind began blowing and huge meteors streaked across the sky. Meanwhile, inspired by Indra's presence, the demigods slaughtered the Rakshasas so that eventually only 1/10 of their force remained alive. Kumbhakaran was also wounded by the combined attack of the Rudras and the Celestial. Now highly enraged, Ravan began penetrating the ranks of the enemy army and approached the heavenly king Indra. The two rulers proceeded to shower their arrows upon each other. Darkness set in, bewildering everyone but Indra. Ravan and Meghnad. Ravan was determined to destroy all the demigods. Indra understood that he could not kill the Rakshas king and thus advised his warriors to capture him instead. So it's so heart-wrenching to read the atrocities of the Ravan, how he brought upon the downfall of his whole clan. Never mind, he got slain in the end as well by Lord Ram himself. We know Lord Ram is no different than Krishna. That is Krishna himself, same as Jagannath. So this monster was created and he was created for a reason. I think he was created to let the world know of the morality, and still I don't think there is anyone in the world who would like to name their child Ravan, and I'm sure everybody loves to name their children Ram after Lord Ram. So we will continue with our reading next time. Thank you for joining. I wish you a very blissful week ahead. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.